grow.
Hello everyone, welcome to Voices Around the World, where we go beyond facts and explore how people think, live, and experience society in different parts of the world. I am your host, Joey.
And I am Marian, and we're glad that you're here with us today.
Now today's episode is titled Language Identity, Inequality, the Reality of Malaysia. So now this topic may sound academic at first, but it is something that we all experience. The language we speak, the way we identify ourselves, and the opportunities we have in life. So all of these are connected.
Exactly. And what makes this discussion more interesting is that we will not just looking into Malaysia, but we will also comparing it to our own country, which is the Philippines.
Alright, because sometimes we understand another country better if we relate it to our own experiences. No, so as you try to listen, you try to ask yourself, how does language affect one's identity? And have you experienced inequality because of your language?
And to tackle this question, we will have an amazing guest joining us right now. And that are you guys. First is Miss Ayako. She'll guide us through culture, identity, and how language reflects community and tradition. Next is Miss Laika. She'll share comparisons with the Philippines, showing how bilingual and multilingual systems affect students. Third is Miss Limato. She'll explain official language policies in Malaysia and the Philippines and their consequences. Fourth is Miss Lina Moore. She'll talk about daily student experiences and with multiple languages. Next is Miss Donna. She'll share social experiences like friendships and group interactions influenced by language. Next is Claire. She'll explain language and inequality in education, who gets opportunities and why. The last one is Miss Blessery. We'll focus on social and academic challenges for students struggling with language and fluency. So with this, guys, we will have an amazing discussion about Malaysia and the Philippines and how this country plays a vital role when it comes to multilinguality and their language policy.
Okay, but before we start diving into our topic today, let's ask some questions about our guests. First, so how are you feeling, guys? What are your thoughts about today's?
I'm feeling nostalgic and it's so great. It's so good to be here. Yeah, the food is great. The food is good. And I love the ambience of this place. So nice. Yeah. I'm just happy that you invited us here today.
Okay, so we also appreciate that your efforts and then for making a time for making to have this podcast for today. So I think we're going to have a great start. Let's start with the topic we all lived by every day: culture and identity. Now, Miss Ayaku, Malaysians are so diverse, right? So they have Malays, Indians, Chinese, and indigenous groups. Now, how does language affect their identity then?
Also, each community speaks own languages. Malay is the national language. Mandarin and Tamil are taught in some schools. And indigenous languages exist too. Language often shows which group you belong to.
Okay, so in the Philippines, it's similar but different. We have Filipino, English, and local languages. So in Filipino unites us nationally and English dominates schools, especially in academics. So even if students are diverse, language creates a shared identity. So Ayako, do you think multiple languages strengthen someone's identity or could make them feel like that they don't really fully belong anywhere because they're multilingual?
Well, it can go both ways. Multilingual students feel confident and connected, but some struggle if they favor one language over another.
And code switching is everywhere, right? So in Malaysia, I need to finish my homework dulu, which is dulu means first. Then I'll play basketball. And in the Philippines, compared to Philippines, did you eat na ba? So this means it already happened. I think we all relate to this because we code switch, right?
Yeah,
We
yeah.
have some other lines that we somehow use in everyday life? How about you, partner?
I don't have so much, but I have a question to our guest. So, as a student, how would you, or do you agree in using code switching during classroom discussion or not? And for you, how does it affect students' participation in class discussion? Any idea? Any of the guests can answer that question because I know that you can relate, guys, because you are future educators, and code switching is very timely and relevant right now. Yes. So, what is your thought about code switching in classroom discussion? Is it beneficial or not?
For me, it is.
Why?
Because, can you repeat your question?
So, you said it is beneficial. So, why it is beneficial when it is used in classroom discussion?
Because some students like us were not fluent to speak English. So, in everyday life, we go to school, we switch English to Cebuano or to our local language. It is beneficial to express our thoughts or our opinion.
Yes, I totally agree with that because code switching can also lessen discrimination because when it is used in classroom discussion, students from diverse localities or even in students with different nationalities can understand discussion because we can use English, we can use our native languages and even our directly used language which is Cebuano here in Visayas.
Yes, I totally agree with you, partner, because as humans as we are, we're not perfect, right? And mostly teachers, students also use this because it's a natural phenomenon. We can't do anything about it because that's part of being multilingual. That's our essence. So code switching is such a, what do you call this? There's also pros and cons, but I really think code switching is beneficial when it comes to classroom learning. So code switching is not just casual, it reflects identity, adaptation, and social belonging. So now we all know that Malaysians also use code switching just like the Philippines. Now,
Even festival shows this. Malay students celebrate Hari Raya. Chinese students celebrate Lunar New Year. But sometimes they eat together or share sweets, showing shared experiences despite differences.
Alright, so food is a great connector in which everyone can bond over noodles, rice, or randa. So it's a small but meaningful.
okay, so even though now they have different traditions and they have different cultures, since Malaysians are composed of different ethnic groups such as Indians, they still somewhat celebrate other traditions too. So this makes them more connected.
More open in adopting different traditions from different countries. So now,
That's also the positive sides of having a country that is multilingual.
consists of different people.
Yes. All right. So I think we somehow connect our topic that Malaysians also use code switching just like the Philippines. Now, let's dive into the official language policies in Malaysia. So what are the major ones, Miss Glyza?
Okay, so Bahasa Melayu is the national language. So it is used in government, public education, and official communication. So English is widely used in higher education, international business, and scientific research. So there are also Mandarin and Tamil, which is vernacular schools for Chinese immigrant communities.
And in everyday life, students naturally mix languages. For example, if I forgot my buku, so buku means book in English, and math study is earlier. Math study is in Malaysia language. It means earlier, and Bullet Punjab is can I borrow? So they
Incorporate two
Yeah.
languages,
Yes.
Malaysian and English. Just like the Philippines, we use Taglish or Bislish, Bisaya English.
Yes.
So, Maria, do you have questions?
So, I think this is very interesting, but somehow, do you agree that it sounds like OA or Konyo in mixing two languages? Like for example, I will tie in later, so I can. I have a question. When you hear some of your friends using that kind of attitude, like mixing two language, how can you say it? It does sound awkward or not? Or can you say they are OA or
This
not?
doesn't just apply to the Philippines side, it can
Yes.
also be applied in Malaysia.
Yes.
They, it's not OA.
It's not OA.
What do you think so, Claire? It's funny?
It depends on the
Depends on the situation. Interesting.
Or maybe, or maybe the tone itself does make it more OA. Alright, so
Bahasa Melayu has also influence from Sanskrit, Arabic, and Tamil, where like guru in English it means teacher. Makan it also means to eat, and kursi, chair from Sanskrit are also baru. So this shows how the language itself is historically layered.
okay, so based on what you have said, Liza, it's pretty similar to Philippines that our language has its historical roots, right? So it firstly started with the Spaniards or maybe
Our colonizers, like we are using spaghetti. It is not our own language, I think.
yes.
And we have some words that are coming from our colonizers because Philippines are widely influenced by different countries like America, Japan, and especially the Spaniards. So, could prioritizing Bahasa Melayu unintentionally make students from other language backgrounds feel left out or less confident?
So Bahasa Melayu is the national language of the Malaysia.
So it happens, especially in schools. Students who are fluent may struggle academically or socially, while fluent students feel more confident in expressing themselves.
Exactly, because policies shape opportunity and inclusion, even if that's not their intention.
So, in terms of policies, do you agree that I guess we should first prioritize our very own language rather than those language coming from our colonizers or even from different countries? For example, in the Philippines, we all know that English is widely dominating not just in schools but also in our different environments or different local groups in our country. So, do you agree with me that we should first give more priority on Tagalog rather than English or our native language as a respect of our own culture and tradition?
Yes, we should be using it because we are Filipino. We are
Yes,
Filipino.
proud
So we should use our
We must be proud of our own language.
For me, I guess it must be, what do you call it? It must be
Like
balanced.
50-50.
Yeah, 50-50, because we all know how much power English holds.
Yes.
So it is a universal language, you know.
It must be, we should also prioritize English, but we should also prioritize our own language in order to preserve our identity.
Yes.
Exactly. Okay, so how about in the Philippines, since we have already tackled Malaysia, but in Philippines, so what's the situation there? What are the language policies?
So we follow a bilingual policy, which is the Filipino and English. Local languages are used in early education to help students grasp concept better, but English often dominates higher education and professional work.
So both countries show that language policies create advantages for some students, while others may need extra support.
So I agree with Ms. Lina Moore. Students should put, or even other people should give much support to some people who doesn't have enough knowledge of on using English, who are not fluent, because we all know that when we are in basic education, like when we are in senior high school, especially college, we must learn a lot when it comes to English language because English is widely used in not just in discussion but also like this in this segment we are highly using English as it serves as our universal language. So students will not just put efforts, but also the teachers or even their parents, so that their daughters or their children can perform well, not just in education, but also in other part of a local group.
Okay, so that is why language programs are important. Now I have a question, Miss Linmore. What do you think if you could create a language program? What language program it is?
Make support programs for students struggling with the national language while still valuing their mother tongue language. That way, no one loses culture or opportunity.
Okay, so yes, I totally agree with that. We should give respect both on a community language like English and also our own language.
Also our local language, not just Filipino and English. So do you believe that the mother tongue based language education here in the Philippines has been beneficial to learners?
Yes, because it can help us. Like right now, we're in college. The mother tongue language. What do you call that? The mother tongue language can benefit us.
Yes,
Right? In our study or like in communicating.
yes, because when we're a child, we can't grasp. Yeah, yes.
Mother tongues are the elementary, I think.
Yes, grade
Or
one.
grade 1, grade 2.
Yes,
Yes,
mother tongue.
They use mother tongue.
And it's pretty beneficial because we can understand English at first without knowing our mother tongue first, because our mother tongue starts in our home. So basically, we can pursue other languages without mastering our own. So which is our native language, which is what is our native language?
Yes.
Now, let's talk about how language affects opportunities in Malaysia. So, what do you notice among students? Ms. Claire?
Well, students fluent in Bahasa Melayu or English often take more information in school, join competitions, and sometimes even have better chances for scholarships or university programs.
So in the Philippines, it's similar with English. Students who struggle in using English in school may avoid participating in class or sharing their thoughts even though they know the answer. It is because they lack a knowledge in using the English language. So even if they understand the content perfectly, they will not be able to express their thoughts because of the language.
I think we all experience this.
Yes, of course. Even though we are in college, I know that we have some parts that we don't know about English, especially the words that holds a deep meaning.
Terminologies.
Yeah, the terminologies that we have in our subject.
Like certainly as discussed.
Yes. But I guess that kind of activity or kind of an exam is very helpful to us because as an educator, future educator, we must know that terminologies because it holds knowledge that will not just benefit us but also our future students.
Now, lastly, have you noticed some students who struggle with the national language or English, and what challenges they face?
Yes, some students feel left out in group discussions or get nervous when it comes to answering questions because they are not confident in language. Even if they know the subject, their ideas might not be fully expressed. So teachers or our classmates might underestimate that. Just like me, I don't even like talk or answer because maybe I know the answer, but it's just I don't get skills.
You're having a hard time translating it into English. So I think we all relate to this, even though we are English major students
Yes.
still majoring.
English majors are
Express
not
some thoughts.
majoring according to Miss Ayako. We often commit wrong grammar or using words, but that words doesn't fit in that certain conversation, right? Because we don't know the meaning of the certain words.
Exactly. Like imagine two students doing the same project. One writes it in fluent English and the other struggles with grammar, as like what you said. Teachers might unconsciously rate the first higher rather than the second one. So even if their ideas are consistent.
So, is it okay for you to share some certain situations that is connected to your answer about two students creating a project?
As what I have experienced, like for example, in
Yes.
like the like her essay, I am struggling and when I express my ideas. That's
So, is it fair that language fluency, is it fair that we give more importance to language fluency rather than knowledge affects opportunity?
Not really. That's why language support programs are so important. Because they help students keep up academically without losing confidence.
So, and socially, to students who can mix languages like in Malaysia, often fit better with peers. So, in the Philippines,
In the Philippines, code switching works the same. So, example, did you finish your assignment now already? Oh, you're mixing two languages. Let's study after lunch. Students who can switch may feel left out socially because code switching is very relevant nowadays.
it really shows that inequality isn't just about grades, right?
Yes, yeah.
It's also about confidence, participation, and social belonging.
so policies and fluency affect both academic and opportunities in social life. Because I'm going to share something that I have witnessed. Usually in career, if you're looking for a job opportunity, you write resumes in English, right? For a job opportunity, you speak in English, right? So it's really shows how powerful English is in a country. So that is why we should hold importance to it.
Especially during job interviews, because I know that those who are looking for employers highly recommend those who are fluent in English during answering their questions and those who can express their thoughts well, rather than those who knows how to answer but they cannot express their answers very well. So that highly affects on how you will be hired on that job or not.
Now that we've talked about identity, inequality, and policies, let's bring this closer to reality. Now, what does this look like in everybody's student life in Malaysia, Dana?
Honestly, it's natural to mix languages all the time. It's not something people plan. It's just happen. For example, tomorrow we're gonna find siap tak. Siap tak means ready. It's makan. Makan is eat. Ada mamak. Mamak which one food stall. Then jalan-jalan. Jalan-jalan is walk around. Then another example is I need to finish this assignment dulu. Dulu means first. So it's just how people communicate. It feels more alive. Oh, so it really shows that code switching is a natural phenomenon in Malaysia.
Now, you guys have Malaysian words that is similar to our country, Philippines.
Yeah, in Malaysia, hope pronounced as tulong, while in the Philippines, hope pronounced as tulong. So,
Tolong and tulong.
yeah, so Another, I have a word in my mind. It's the word buko from Malaysia. So buko in Malaysia, it means book. But here in the Philippines, buko means
Yeah.
Yes, and from his one example, she used the word Zulu, which means first, but originally in the Philippines, Zulu means last, so it is opposite in Malaysian language.
So, based from Ms. Donald's answer about code switching, that is, code switching usually have an advantage. Not just academically, but in socially. So, they can connect more with people. Now, have you noticed on the people sometimes judge others based on how they speak, like their accent, grammar, or even how they switch. So, do you have some experience like that?
Yes, especially in classrooms, some students hesitate to speak because they're afraid of being corrected when it comes to their pronunciation and even using words and their grammar. So, for example, during class discussion, we cannot deny that there's always a class recitation. So, some students are hesitant because they cannot pronounce the words well and they don't know what that word, what meaning does that word hold.
Also, I have noticed that usually, the group leader, in a group discussion, the group leader presents the outcome, and then the others will just be on sidelines. So, this creates somewhat a hierarchy that those who are fluent when it comes to English are more present in class.
Shows the high confidence in speaking in front of the class. Or in group work, if someone isn't confident in the dominant language, they might stay quiet even if they actually understand everything.
That's true. So even if the other students have good ideas, if they're having trouble translating it into English, that creates a difficulty in expressing their own thoughts.
Exactly, and over time, that affects their confidence. They might start thinking they're not smart enough, but when in reality, it's just a language barrier.
So that is where inequality comes in. Not because about their ability, but because of the language. But also, how one perceives language plays a vital role too. So, people's perception about language itself.
Yes, and that this just happen in school, even in real life, such as job interviews, presentations, or promotions. Fluency English or the national language matters a lot, right? Yes.
Of course. Now in Malaysia, fluency in Bahasa, Melayu is important for government, jobs, and public communication. So while English is important for international opportunities.
So that's why we people are expected to balance both language, and that pressure can be stressful, especially for students that are still learning and still improving their abilities in using such languages.
So do you think this pressure affects students themselves, like their confidence or identity?
Yes, I think this affects somewhat their confidence, but I don't think it much affect their identity, because if you are really proud of where you came from, you will indulge yourself in your own language while adopting the other language coming from the other country, because you should balance both of it, because it will both benefit not just yourself but also the other people that you will communicate well. But in terms of confidence, yes, it will affect, because they will be hesitant in joining such a conversation, even in their friends or circle of friends, because they know in themselves that they will not express their thoughts and the things that they wanted to say in that certain conversation because of such language barriers.
Okay, so what you're trying to say, partner, is that some students, those students who are fluent in English, they will feel confident.
Yes.
But To those who are quite lacking, still improving, it's the other way around. So this also affects friendships, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So then we tend to connect more easily with people they can communicate with. For example, someone might say, "This makan nasi lemak," which means they eat coconut rice. Dulu first, then basketball. So everyone who understands joins naturally. But someone who doesn't might feel left out even if it's not intentional.
So the same goes with the Philippines. If a group is speaking mostly Taglish, someone who isn't used to it might feel out of place. For example, when you come from Tacloban, they use Waray. Or even those who came from Manila, they don't understand Bisaya. That's why we Bisaya people often do a lot of adjustments because we understand both the three languages, Bisaya, Tagalog, and English. So we are dominant, unlike those who come from Manila. So we adjust, we use English or their language for them to understand what we are saying.
Also, the same as when foreign people come to the Philippines, it's usually us who adjust. It's usually us who speak English.
So do you agree that we Bisaya are intelligent?
Yes.
And some Tagalog people discriminate Bisaya.
Yes.
But they don't know that we can understand different languages in our country.
Yes, I agree with that.
Yes, it's not so language can connect both people and create distance at the same time. So,
However, at the same time, being multilingual is actually a strength.
Yes, it makes people adaptable. You can communicate with different groups, understand different perspectives, and just depending on the situation.
So even online we see this. So social media posts, chats, memes, people mix languages, easily or naturally.
yes, sometimes one sentence is English, Malay, and another language. And everyone still understands.
If you don't understand, you just react. So hopefully that still makes sense.
Exactly. You just go with the flow.
No, but what's really interesting is that these big experiences actually reflect language policies because what is taught in school is used in government influences how people speak, interact, and even judge others.
Yes, and even if you don't notice it, politics shape everyday life, from classrooms to friendship to future careers.
So language policies are not just rules on paper. They affect real people, real conversations, and real opportunities.
And sometimes it's the small moments, like sharing food, helping a friend translate, or laughing at a mixed language joke that show what multilingual life is really like.
Okay, so as we wrap up our episode today, language, identity, and inequality in the reality of Malaysia, I hope we can see how much language affects or shapes who we are, how we connect, and even the opportunities we get in life. So it's not just words, it's identity, culture, and sometimes inequality all wrapped together.
Exactly. In Malaysia, Bahasa Melayu is the national language used in government, public schools, and official communication. But at the same time, English, Mandarin, and Tamil are also widely used. So students are navigating multiple languages in their everyday life, which shows their country as a multilingual country.
So, alright, and that both creates opportunities and challenges. For instance, if you're fluent in Bahasa, Melayu, it might be easier to get certain scholarships and job opportunities or communicate in official settings. Now, English fluency in Malaysia opens doors for international studies or business. But if you're not fluent in either of the two, even if you're smart, you might feel left out or struggle academically.
And this isn't just about school. Socially, it matters. Students who can switch between language naturally often feel better than friends. So those who can might feel left out when they are in small days.
But with that disadvantages or with that certain challenges, there is still interesting part. Being multilingual or able to code switch isn't a weakness. It is a skill. It shows adaptability, creativity, and social awareness. You're learning how to communicate in different contexts using different languages with different people, and that's a powerful thing because why? You will be able to know different people from their different backgrounds, different traditions and cultures or language policies, and you will also learn from them, and they can also learn from you, in which you can share both of your traditions and cultures, especially language that holds a vital role in a community, because without language, we will not be able to communicate with others and share or express ourselves and our ideas.
And comparing it to the Philippines, we see some similarities. Filipino and English are official, but local languages are still used in early education. Students code switching naturally, and the policy is meant to unify that social and academic challenges still appear for those less hesitant in English.
Okay, so what we can get here is that the policies are not just rules. They touch real lives. They can make people included, but at the same time feel excluded. They can open doors to everyone, but at the same time again, it can create visible lines. And that is why understanding language policies is important, not just in Malaysia, not just in Philippines, but to all, to the world, universe rather, to all countries. This applies to all countries.
Absolutely. It's not about blaming the system, but noticing how it affects daily life. And small steps like sport programs for students struggling with the national language can make a huge difference.
Exactly. I agree with Ms. Clarice. Policies aim for unity, but people bring diversity in which this where culture and identity truly shine.
So remember, the languages we speak carry history, identity, and opportunity. So they shape who we are and how we relate to others, and even the past we take in life.
And by reflecting on Malaysia and the Philippines, we can see how different policies create different experiences, but also how similar challenges arise, like inequality, social adaptation, and the need for inclusivity. So when we talk about inclusivity, it shows that everybody feel appreciated and valued in a certain country, in which inclusivity can defeat discrimination, especially when it comes to being a multilingual speaker.
Okay, so with that, let's wrap it. Thank you for tuning in to Language, Identity, Inequality, the Reality of Malaysia. So we hope this episode gave you perspective or unique insights in how policies shape our lives, both in school and beyond. So thank you everyone for listening, and see you on the next episode. Bye.